What up, guys? Your boy Quake back with a brand new episode of the Diverse Mentality Podcast, number 357. And wow, we got a lot to talk about. Diddy's sentencing, people's reaction to that. Cardi B and Nicki Minaj still going at it. JT dropping a diss track. Young Thug revealing his Mount Rushmore of Atlanta, which is interesting to say the least. And we have an interesting Warner Music, Universal Music Group, AI music licensing deal. I want to talk about that because that's essentially where the future is going. And, there's a lot to be said about that. But we'll get to that when we get to it. But let's get into Diddy first. He has officially been sentenced to 4 years and 2 months in prison. What did I say? I think it was in the last podcast episode or 2 podcast episodes ago. Maximum he's getting is 5 years. Best case scenario, he has time served and he's free. And there's an incident where he booked next week to go to Miami. And I think the judge looked at that and said, wow, you're a cocky motherfucker. And you think that just because you're Diddy, you can just get out of this situation. And I think the judge made a decision just based off that and said, you know what, I'm going to give you, some extra time here. But let's go over the sentencing. A couple of months ago, Diddy was officially convicted on 2 counts of transportation for the purpose of prostitution. While he was found not guilty on the largest charges, these other 2 counts could still come with massive penalties. Over the past weeks, Diddy has been in jail contemplating what life might be like if he gets hit with a maximum sentence. 1 count of transportation for prostitution could come with a maximum sentence of 10 years. And getting into today's sentencing, the hip-hop mogul was facing a total of 20 years in prison. There was a lot of commotion at the courthouse today as Diddy's family was in attendance for the sentencing. The mogul addressed the court, his family, and the judge in an attempt to get a lenient sentence. However, the judge was not impressed with the mogul's arguments, noting that Diddy hasn't shown remorse for his victims. While the defense tried to show that the mogul is someone who deeply cares about people, it wasn't enough to stop him from getting major prison time. And yes, 4 years is major, man, whether you like to look at it one way or another. The judge said a sentence over 11 years is not reasonable. Even the probation department recommends a sentence less than half of that. But 14 months time served would not be sufficient. Here, the data shows a wide variety of sentencing, weighing all the relevant factors. The court determines that the sentence is 50 months of incarceration, which is 4 years and 2 months. And ironically, 50 cent is just kind of like the perfect, number. Kind of weird how the universe works like that. But the judge was very honest and blunt with Diddy during the sentencing. A history of good works can't wash away the record in this case. He said, you abused these women. You used that abuse to get your way, freak offs and hotel nights. The evidence of the abuse is massive. A significant sentence is required to deter. The court is not convinced that this would not happen again. At this time, it is unknown where Diddy will be serving his 4-year sentence. What we do know is that his legal team will be back in court on Monday to discuss the case. Whether or not time served will be considered is still to be determined. Either way, the prosecution wanted 11 years, while the defense wanted 14 months. The judge met both sides somewhere in the middle. And it's kind of crazy. He's been hit with a fine of $500,000. So the judge said, Mr. Angafilo, any recommendation where to serve the sentence? Combs, Angafilo, can we get back to you by Monday now that we know there is a sentence? Yes, the judge said. And the judge said the court imposes a fine of $500,000, including to defray the costs of imprisonment. There is no restitution, but there is a forfeiture as reflected in the order. There is a $5,000 fine under the statute and a special assessment, $200. So $500,000 for this guy is nothing, but still he gets hit with a fine of $500,000 as well as 4 years and 2 months. Now, will he get time served? There's a possibility if that happens. Also, there's specific, I think academics spoke to this. There's specific rules too that, if you do certain things in prison, your time will get reduced a little bit. So is there a possibility that he can get out in 3 years or 2.5 years? Yes. What's interesting though is on social media, the people that reacted to this sentencing, like random people were like, oh, he did all this stuff and he only gets 4 years. They clearly weren't paying attention to what he got actually charged with. I mean, the maximum sentence is 20 years. The prosecutors, the people who are literally, going against him in this case, recommended 11. And then obviously his defendants, his people that were defending him, his lawyers recommended, 13 months or something like that, which is nothing because if he would have got time served, he would have been free. So the judge did a reasonable thing and said, hey, 4 years, 2 months. I said he would get maximum 5 years. I never saw him going above 5 years. It's just, to me, It usually never goes that way with celebrities. They never get the maximum sentence. They never get, anywhere near the maximum sentence. I can't remember a recent celebrity that got like a maximum sentence. Besides Cash Out, who's not really a celebrity. He had, like 2 hit records in 2014 or 13 or whatever. And that's it. I'm talking like major celebrities, people like Diddy, who's a billionaire essentially. Regardless, 4 years and 2 months is a lot of time in prison, man. I don't know how old Diddy is. Let me actually see. I think he's in his 50s. Yeah, he's 55 years old. By the time he gets out, he'll essentially be 60 years old or almost 60 years old because his birthday is November. So his birthday is actually coming up in about a month, November 4th. So he'll be 56. By the time he gets out, he's essentially 60 years old. 4 years of his life gone to waste for basically just being a freak and, essentially forcing women and men to do things that they didn't want to do. That's basically the situation here. Some things got dismissed, obviously, in the charges, but it could have been worse, man. He could have got way worse time. Those charges could have been stuck on him, and he probably could have got, like R. Kelly time. We're looking at 40, 50, 100 years, whatever time R. Kelly's serving. I think he's serving at least 30 years. It could have been way worse. Hey, 4 years, any prison time sucks, man. Any prison time or jail time. Even if you're doing jail, 2 days of jail, a week of jail, a month of jail, whatever. It's time that you're wasting in a box that you'll never get back. This is why I say whenever like somebody gets wrongfully convicted of something and serves like 40 years, I don't give a shit if they give me $1 billion after I get out of those 40 years. 40 years of my time is gone. I'll never get that back no matter how much money you give me. So I feel really bad for those people that get wrongly convicted and then finally get out and then, they sue and get 30 million. Cool. You're spending 30 million when you're 65 years old and very sick. Basically, the majority of people that get out from prison end up being sick if they serve that much time for the most part, because those conditions definitely will not help at all. They don't help with any type of health. So time, you'll never get it back, man. Time is something that, it's the worst sentencing is being locked up in prison. I think people get death penalties. It's kind of an escape, man. Some of them even say it. They say, hey, I would rather die than stay here for the rest of my life in prison. So sometimes I'm for death penalties. Sometimes I'm not, because I feel like it's an easy way out for, someone who's committed a horrible act. 4 years sucks, but continuing on, in the midst of this, he got hit with 2 new sexual assault lawsuits, which is crazy. As he faces this time, he got hit with more lawsuits. So let's go over the article. Diddy Combs is facing yet another wave of legal trouble as he prepares for one of his most pivotal moments of his life. Just a day before his scheduled prison sentencing, the musical mogul has been hit with 2 new sexual assault lawsuits. According to new court documents obtained by TMZ, plaintiffs Lakeisha Ward and Dejon Bledsoe filed separate suits according to Combs of sexual assault. Both women are represented by attorney Tony Busby. I don't know how valid Tony Busby is because he's been filing these crazy lawsuits and a lot of them have been fraudulent, who in recent months has launched a string of legal actions against the Bad Boy Records founder. Ward and Bledsoe's allegations add to the growing number of claims against Combs. He's facing mounting scrutiny in recent years over his personal and professional conduct. The details of the latest filings have not been fully disclosed, but they arrive at a particularly high-stakes moment for the hip-hop icon. The new filings pile onto a growing list of legal troubles that have kept Diddy in headlines for months. Yeah, we'll see what happens with this, but 2 new I don't know how many lawsuits this guy has. There needs to be like a tracker of it. Why am I saying tractor? Yeah, so what ended up happening, I think this is what kind of played to the judge sentencing him probably more, is that literally, I'm not even joking, like literally before he's sentenced, he already set up speaking engagements in Miami, meaning that in his mind, he thought he was going to get free. So let's go over this. Diddy's sentencing hearing is currently underway, and in the prosecution's opening statement, Christy Slavek alleged that he already has speaking engagements lined up for as early as next week. This indicates that the mogul might believe he'll be walking free very soon. This is the height of hubris, Slavek said per TMZ. Prosecutors previously recommended a sentence of So that's essentially how cocky Diddy was, that he's going to get out that day. I think the judge probably saw that. At least I would as a judge. I would be like, man, you already got shit booked. You're thinking to get out? I don't know if the judge can really be. Is it like because usually like you can't allow judges to be swayed so easily, but that is like something that as a judge I would be like, you really like I'm gonna really really take that belt to your ass and show you that you're not in control of this situation. To book something literally the next week thinking you're gonna get out is insane. But that's I don't want to say this because I don't know what's going on in Diddy's mind. It could be potentially true or not, but he's just that cocky, that arrogant, I think, to be doing something like that. I would never book anything next week. Never in a million years. Never, never, never. I would just assume I'm getting 20 years. That's my assumption. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm preparing for 20 years because that's the maximum sentence. So that way, if I'm preparing for 20 years and I get 4, I feel a little bit better. But if I'm thinking in my mind, I'm going to be free, then I'm going to feel bad if I get 4 years. That's just how I look at situations. I look at the worst case scenario. That way, if something less happens than that worst case scenario, it's not as bad. And I encourage everyone, not to say that you should wish the worst case scenario on yourself or that you should only look at the worst case scenarios, but prepare for the worst, and hope for the best. That's the quote that everybody says, right? So that's how I look at it. But clearly Diddy looked at it the other way. He prepared for the best and not really hope for the worst, but yeah. 50 Cent then, of course, piled on to the sentencing and decided to troll him. He posted, so in the court, there's obviously these artists that draw, which is still an old school thing. I don't know why it happens in courtrooms. I hope like at a certain point there needs to be cameras in courtrooms especially for celebrities. It'd be really cool. Some of them are, some aren't. I think Diddy would have been really nice considering Diddy was crying. So there's photos of Diddy crying, wiping his tears. And 50 posted that photo on his Instagram and said, "Hey, to whoever was booking Diddy for speaking engagement, I heard he won't be able to make it. I'm available," and put a laughing emoji. That's hilarious. And then 50 continues, and he posts a photo of Diddy, basically the photo of, it's a drawing of Diddy like leaning on the chair, really sad. And then 50 in the caption said, "I think he dropped his pencil. I'm going to send Jane to see him to make sure he's okay. How much you think she will charge for that? LOL." Yeah, so 50's going to pile on to the trolling as he usually does. And then he also put, he said, "Damn, them lawyers told Puff he was coming home today. He paying all kind of money. They robbed him," he said. Yeah, basically he just said, hey, these lawyers basically gypped Diddy out of all that stuff and didn't even get him, time served. And, lawyer can only do as much. You can pay as much as you want, but, it's only as good as evidence that's against you. If you don't have a lot of evidence against you, then obviously you can beat cases a lot easier, but lawyers can only do as much as they got to work with, right? If you're out here booking the next week to do speaking engagements, clearly it's not a good look. I don't know who he advised or why he even decided to do that, but definitely a bad look. Continuing on, Suge Knight also said something about the Diddy sentencing. So let's go over the article. In a new interview from jail with the Art of Dialogue, the death row executive reacted to the bad boy boss's prison sentence. More specifically, he compared Combs' sentencing to what Suge experienced in 2015 hit-and-run case, a conviction for which he continues to serve time. "I wasn't allowed to speak. I wasn't allowed to do nothing," Knight remarked. Puff was able to speak to the court and send a letter to the judge before the judge handed his sentence down. "Like I said before, Puffy has strong ties with the government, with the feds, and anybody else would have been cooked done," Suge Knight expressed concerning Diddy. He believes Combs' sentencing is too lenient despite his acquittals on sex trafficking and racketeering charges. In fact, Suge criticized it as the deal of the century. Not only that, but Suge also blasted Diddy and his team for their publicity efforts and attempts to generate sympathy for those in the case and witnessing it. This included a documentary-style video praising his contributions and commitments, as well as aforementioned remarks to the court. I mean, that's the first time in history that a person's going to get a sentence and they can actually put on a campaign like they're running for the president of the United States, where they can show videos and pretty much everything Suge posted. The only thing I was waiting on was the fact that I was waiting on him to bring out the DJ and start playing music and let him do what he do best, dance and shake that ass, and end up with no time. Suge is hilarious, man. Suge is hilarious. He's right, though, man. That is privilege. That is huge, huge privilege because of Diddy's level and Diddy's status. I mean, who do you know can just play, compilation videos of great things that they've done? and then say, look, judge, look at the angel that I am. Don't look at me with this situation. I messed up. I'm a human being. But that's the problem. Diddy's had a history of things. If this was like the first time Diddy ever got in trouble, it's the first time you ever heard of anything with Diddy, and the domestic violence video never came out, because I think that also played a little bit of a role. It's like the O.J. Simpson case, where the criminal case, he was free, but then they saw videos of like O.J., kind of having fun, enjoying life, and blah, 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 and they kind of put it onto, in the civil case, they found him guilty, awarded the Goldmans with $30 million, whatever. They kind of took from that sentencing and him not getting any time for that murder of Nicole Brown and kind of dragged it to this. That's what a lot of people believed in that second sentencing that he got with where he stole that stuff, his memorabilia, his own memorabilia. And he got like, I think 10 years or 8 years. But that's kind of like the same situation here, where I think the judge might have saw the domestic violence video too and been like, you know what? You're a piece of shit. Like, regardless, there's video proof you did what you did to Cassie. And obviously Cassie sent in a letter and said, this guy's a monster, don't let him free. And everybody else, every other victim. So with that video footage, it added a lot more truth to this. It added visuals. I don't know if there was audios in that, but I think it definitely added the visuals. And that made things worse for Diddy. Had that domestic violence video never came out, it would be a lot harder for people to believe things. Because that video came out, a lot of what Cassie said in her initial lawsuit lines up like it equal, it matches the dates and the time frames and locations. So what's to say that everything else she's saying is not the truth? If she told the truth about that part with no video footage out, then why would she be lying about other stuff? And then you got Kid Cudi with the Molotov and testifying, and there's pictures of that. So, there's some parts of it where people can put the pieces together and be like, this guy's actually a bad person, has done bad things to people. And then there's rumors of him ordering a hit on Tupac, the Jennifer Lopez gun situation. I don't know. Diddy's gotten into a whole bunch of shit. Hey, if he never had that history with Jennifer Lopez or any ties to Tupac and Biggie in the shooting and his bodyguard getting killed and whatever other situations have been involved in, if this was like the first incident ever and there was no domestic violence video too, I think he would have got out, man. He would have got out, time served, no problem. But all those things piled up, and I think it's the same thing with that OJ, where he got his sentencing for that second case of him stealing his own memorabilia, whatever. They kind of dragged it from the previous stuff, and I think the same type of situation happened here. But hey, Suge Knight is hilarious. Great response on 50 and Suge Knight. And a lot of people, man, they had their own responses online, but it surprised me how uneducated a lot of people were on this case, which I'm not kind of surprised either, because it's my job to do this, and then you guys listen, so you guys are informed. The people that actually listen to the podcast are well informed, but the people that don't, that just kind of, do their thing and see little headlines here and there, they don't understand that Diddy didn't get charged with everything. He only got charged with 2 things, and they both serve a maximum sentence of 20 years. So, he got away with, a good sentencing, man. Suge Knight is right. Anybody else would have got the can. Anybody else would have at least got 10 years. No Diddy, like 10 years easy. It's going to be interesting, though. See if he gets time served, if they adjust things for him and he gets out earlier. If it is indeed 4 years to this day, he will be out in 2029, in December of 2029? That is a long time from now, man. But time flies, so before you know it, he'll be out. I don't think he'll ever be the same, though. I think when he gets out, there won't really be a welcome home party. There's going to be people that support him. Some people, obviously, there's always going to be people that support, but it's not going to be the same. Diddy's not going to walk around and people are going to love him and say, oh, you're a beast, Diddy, I love you, and give the key to the city and, all that stuff. It's over for that. I think he's just going to live the rest of his, when he gets out, he's going to be 60 years old, man. At that point, just chill out, enjoy whatever wealth you have left, spend time with your family and kids, stay out of the spotlight. But I don't know, man. Diddy's got a huge ego. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's still going to go in the spotlight. It's like O.J. Simpson. People are just like, dude, you beat a murder case. Get the fuck out of the spotlight. Instead, the guy was always in front of cameras, doing TV shows, interviews, and all kinds of stuff. So, if I was in this situation, I would take this as, hey, let me bow out. I did what I did in the industry. I had my fun with the freak offs, whatever. But, let me bow out. Let me get out of the spotlight. Because then, other things can pile up and worse things can happen down the line. You're a billionaire or a multi-millionaire. I don't know how much you're worth now. Let's just say $500 million, more than enough to enjoy your life. Let your kids live out their lives and, have your fun with whatever you got left. At 60 years old, I'd definitely be chilling, but knowing Diddy, I don't think that's going to happen. But we'll see what happens moving forward. Updates on Dame Dash's bankruptcy. So let's go over the article. Dame Dash's financial woes continued on Wednesday with a federal judge ruling the public auction of his assets can move forward. According to All Hip Hop, the move comes despite Dash's recent Chapter 7 bankruptcy filing, for which he claimed to be $25 million in debt. Magistrate Judge Robert handed out the ruling. Enforcement proceedings are not stayed as to defendant Poppington LLC. Public auction of Poppington's films and copyrights may proceed. Further, public auction of Dash's assets that were assigned to the U.S. Marshal before September 4th, 2025 may proceed. Assignment is a transfer of ownership. Dash has provided no authority that would bar public auction of assets assigned to the U.S. Marshal before the bankruptcy, the judge wrote. Dash originally filed for bankruptcy in Florida back on September 4th. He cited unpaid taxes, child support, legal judgments, and more. Yeah, that's really about it. He's going to have his stuff auctioned off. Interesting thing that Dame Dash recently said too is that he was interviewed by Cam Capone. Sorry, didn't mean to say it like that. Cam Capone News, and Cam Capone, to his credit, asked, "Did you see what Memphis Bleak, or did you see what Tony Yayo said about 50 Cent taking care of his artists and Jay-Z not taking care of his artists?" Dame essentially agreed, but it was like, at the end of the day, these are grown men. And he said, he goes on this whole rant of like, I'm a grown man. I don't need another man to take care of me, so on and so forth. I get that, but to a certain extent, depending on who's who and who's your homie, if you're worth 500 million, let's just say 50's worth 500 million. He's worth more than that, I think. But let's just say he's worth 500 million. Taking care of somebody that's really close to you, not a big deal, man. He doesn't really it's not like he's handing Yayo millions upon millions of dollars. Yes, he brings him on tour. He cuts him a little bit of that money on the tour, which helps him out a lot. Let's just be honest. Tony Yayo touring by himself would not bring in the money that 50 Cent brings in, obviously. But he's also helping Uncle Murda. Yayo and Uncle Murda are doing their business ventures. They're actually opening up a weed store, which is really cool. But yeah, Dame Dash essentially says like, hey, another grown man taking care of you is essentially corny. Memphis Bleak says, hey, Jay-Z doesn't have to take care of me, but Dame Dash does acknowledge that Memphis Bleak does get opportunities because of his association with Jay-Z, which is the same thing with Tony Yayo. I mean, a lot of people that are associated with certain, my interview with DT, right? Like, would I care about interviewing DT if he was never associated with Young Buck and 50 Cent? No, if he was a regular street guy who just got into street activities, I really wouldn't care. But because of his association with that and him being around 50 and these other celebrities, of course you want to interview him because he's got interesting stories. And that's really what it is with Memphis Bleak, Tony Yayo, and anybody else who's been around a certain level of people. Because their association with them, even Dame Dash gets opportunities and interviews and all this stuff and publicity because he was associated with Jay-Z a long time ago. That's the power of Jay-Z, 50 Cent, Eminem, Kanye West, Drake. These high-level, celebrities, any high-level celebrity, because of your association with them for a certain amount of time, you do get opportunities. It just is what it is. That's what comes with it. So Dame Dash might not consider that as a handout from Jay-Z, but he does get help. And he says the same thing about Memphis Bleak and the same thing about Yayo, which I can respect. But, at the end of the day, Jay-Z did not take care of his artists like 50 did. And that could be a handicap. And Dame Dash even mentions that. That could be a sense of entitlement. They may not work as hard. Jay-Z kind of just... What I really respect about Jay-Z is the J. Cole. He signed J. Cole to Roc Nation and just essentially... He had him on his album, and then he appeared on his first album, and that's it. That's it. After that, I forget that that J. Cole's even signed to Roc Nation. That he signed to Jay-Z. Like, you forget completely because he's so distant from J. Cole that... it just doesn't cross your mind. I think to a certain extent, 50 should have took that approach with, Lloyd Banks and Young Buck and The Game and whoever else on G Unit. But it's kind of up on the artist too, man. 50 did the best he could. He put, stamps on everybody and he tried to skyrocket them out, and they did. Banks did 450,000 or whatever it was, 430,000 first week. Buck did 360,000. Yayo did, I forget his number, but they did an insane amount of album units, and they could have took that to Patan and just ran with it, but unfortunately they were too spoiled and that's kind of the problem with it is certain artists do get too spoiled. But yeah, I respect Jay-Z for how he handled J. Cole. He was just like, listen, you're going to appear on my album on A Star Is Born. I'm going to appear on your album on Mr. Nice Watch. And we're not even going to speak of you being signed to me. It's not even going to be a thing. People are just going to move on and nobody's going to remember that you're signed to me. And yeah, that's the best way to handle situations, I think. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Dame Dash and his assets moving forward. Ray J might have stumbled on the next big RICO case. And I'm not going to say this allegedly. I'm not going to actually accuse anybody of this, but I have really, really strong belief in Ray J telling the truth on this because it involves the Kardashians. And something, and I'm not saying this, it's just me. I'm not even saying there's any evidence or proof. I'm just saying my gut feeling. When I see sometimes the Kardashians, something is off. Something has always felt off. Let's go over what's going on if you're not aware. Over the years, Ray J has had a lot to say about his ex, Kim Kardashian, and her family. Now they finally decided to fire back. Earlier this week, the Skims founder and her mother, Kris Jenner, filed a lawsuit against Ray J, accusing him of defamation. In the lawsuit, they allege that he's unable to accept the end of his fleeting relationship with Ms. Kardashian over 20 years ago. The lawsuit was filed just days after Ray J made some bold claims during a stream with Christian Rock. The federal RICO case, The federal RICO case I'm about to drop on Kris and Kim is about to be crazy, he alleged. I'm talking about, I'm on the news every day. I'm going to say a lot of shit. Anybody that is cool with Kim, they need to tell her now the feds is coming. There's nothing I can do about it. It's worse than Diddy. At the time, the Kardashians' lawyer, Alex Spiro, promptly issued a response. He called Ray J's claims false and defamatory and warned that they could result in a lawsuit. Well, Ray J took to Twitch and responded to it. And he said that they bribed him to shut up about this years ago. So let's play this.
I defamed you? How? How I defamed you? You just paid me all this money. You didn't mention that, huh? Go back up. You didn't mention that. But you also didn't mention that you were supposed to tell Hulu to take that shit down, bro. These bitches already paid me $5 million, bro. And they trying to, make me a slave, bro. I can show you all the dirty shit they telling me. This ain't even no money. This ain't even no money, bro. This ain't cool. Y'all trying to play with me. Y'all think that I'm on here acting like an ass, like I'm just obsessed. I'm obsessed with you. You obsessed with me. I got all the proof. This is you telling me, please don't tell nobody. You going to jail. This is bribery. And you keep pressing me every year. And I don't want to take this shit no more, bro. I don't want to take y'all fucking money. This is bad. This is not cool. Money is not everything, y'all. Remember that. Money doesn't make you. This is not okay. They need to speak on this. What is this? What is this? What are you doing? What is this? The arbitration shit's out the door, bro. What are you doing? This is hush money from a lie that you created. You went online and said that you didn't do Kris, you told me what to do. You made me shoot another dirty sex tape with your daughter, and you made me do dirty things, yo. And you made me feel every day like it ain't okay. This is not okay. Now, I get by it and I'm having fun and I'm doing my thing. I'm back. Niggas is like, yo, Ray's a good nigga. And then you want to hit me and send cease and desist letters to everybody to make them not be even hang around me. That shit fucked up. So fuck it. I'm gonna stop there. Stop here. I need y'all to tell America really what it is, y'all. America deserves to know. Y'all trying to kill the black community. Y'all trying to kill niggas off. I swear to God, I can go deeper than this. But I'm not today. I'm not. What's fucked up is that this shit bothers me every day when I see my daughter and I see my son, and I'm like, yo, I have 1 year left to make sure that they know who their dad really is. And so I go through this, I crash out, and then after that, I shake it off, and then we get back into a good rhythm. And that's what we about to do right now. I ain't gonna let this shit totally turn us into something else. So let's just get back and let's have fun. What y'all see, what y'all see. Y'all know what I'm going through. I don't have no lawyers. I don't have no motherfucking. I don't have.
So there you have it. Ray J is saying that he has paperwork showing that they paid him $5 million, and they're trying to make him a slave, basically saying, "Hey, shut up about everything." He says, "I got all the proof." He went on to allege that Jenner made him film another sex tape with her daughter Kim. Chris, you told me what to do. You made me shoot another dirty sex tape with your daughter, and you made me do dirty things, he alleged. You keep pressing me every year. I don't want to take this shit no more. I don't want to take y'all fucking money. The adoration shit is out the door, bro. What are you doing? This is hush money for me to lie that. This is hush money from a lie that you created, he said. Continuing on, Ray J warns that he won't be silenced. So here is a live stream of him. And this is what he has to say.
They will not silence me. I cannot be silenced from in no which way and form, dog. These motherfuckers think they can silence us. We got the #1 show coming out, Love Cabin. And
Let's
they
go.
can't stop us.
Who trying to stop you? Can't
Nigga,
stop.
the whole fucking world. These sleazy criminals.
Well, guys, Love Cabin is coming out soon.
Love Cabin!
Hold on, Ray. What's going on? You all right, man? Let's talk about it.
Nah, I'm not all right. I'm not all right because, like, all I've been trying to do is be a good person, bro. And we just did the shit with Kai. It was so dope. And we had this, like, I don't know, it was a euphoric feeling of, like, people really getting to know who we are, knowing that we got nothing but respect and love for women and nothing but respect for everybody. Everybody's time. We're here to help people. We're here to give everything we got to the next generation to make sure they grow and they build. And then the next couple of days is tainted by false accusations from KK and her mom and all of these things.
I think yelling out a show in the middle of saying that is kind of like, seems like you're doing this for promotion. But other than that, we'll see where this leads, man. I think Kanye at one point said that he doesn't want his children in the Kardashian household because there's a lot of crazy things going on. I don't think he ever alleged to RICO charges and crazy stuff like that. I don't remember because Kanye had a lot of episodes where he said a lot of stuff. But a lot of what Kanye said has come to the light down the line. So it's not like Kanye's crazy per se, but we don't know yet. This is all speculation. This is all just on what Ray J has said so far, with Kanye saying a few things here and there. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kanye actually jumps into this and says, you know, hey, you did something to my kids, blah, blah, blah. So we'll see what happens moving forward. Updates on Cardi B and Nicki Minaj going at it. But first, JT, which is one half of the City Girls, decided to drop. To be honest with you, I'm not even a fan of female rappers. I've said this millions of times. I like Missy Elliott. I like Nicki Minaj. Tink was really dope at one point. Lauryn Hill. Really, I can count on one hand maybe female rappers that I enjoy. Just a lot of them have the same repetitive, I don't know, man. Something about them talking about their pussy being wet every fucking line. It just doesn't really hit with me. That's why I like Tink. That's why I like Missy Elliott. Like those two were like different type of females. Nicki Minaj with the Pink Print, I think is the best female album, hip hop album ever. Because there was different subject matters on there. I'm not saying that every female raps like that or talks about that, but majority do. So that's why. Regardless, JT dropped a diss track towards Cardi B, and she killed it. I don't know what the title is. She premiered on Academics' stream. There really is no title. Just type in JT diss track Cardi B on YouTube or wherever, and it will pop up. Some people have the name as Barney B, which is dissing Cardi B. But other than that, there really is no official title. The song is fire. I mean, some of the bars are really dope. All that dick riding still ain't got no feature ass bitch. She just mad she got a guy she be sharing bags with. My guy cheat, but I don't stick no dildos in his ass, bitch. You look like a hot mess, easily impressed ass bitch. You never gave looks, you started getting dressed ass bitch. Ricky O, the only fashion show you know. You should have asked me who would have took you to the show. Little bitch, she raps. And there's a lot of bars in here. I mean, some of this shit is just ridiculous. Hoes mad, botched up, ugly, and pathetic. I'm throwing shots at hoes. Gonna stay up to catch it, she spits. Bodega baddie, my ass. You chop cheese. That ass looking crazy. Cardi in that diaper B. There's a lot of funny bars and just scathing bars in this, man. I think a lot of people are sleeping on this. So definitely check it out. Nicki Minaj responded to it saying, why she do Barney B like that with the eyes and laughing emoji. And then Cardi B responded saying, way too easy, laugh my ass off. Alexa, play Magnet by Cardi B. Basically promoting her album. And it makes sense why JT is going after Cardi B because Cardi B in hip hop, at least, is the one who has the motion. What's hilarious in all this is Taylor Swift's about to do like 4 million copies first week, which is insane. I mean, they're saying, chart data is saying she did 2.7 million copies of her album on day one. So I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be off vinyls. They're saying that she did 1.2 million already off vinyls in just like a day. Majority of this is like physical copies. Vinyls is physical. And I don't know if she's selling CDs, which I probably assume as well. CDs, vinyls, those are all physicals. Even technically this falls as physical. It's not, though. It's digital, but it counts as an album sale as iTunes. People tend to forget you can purchase full albums on iTunes still. It's not just streaming. Like you can go search up an album on iTunes, pay $10.99 or $9.99 or $14.99, whatever the price is. It's just a digital purchase, but it is a sale of an album instead of streaming. It's just digitally. So that still counts as pure album sales because that is a single album sold when you pay for that. So a lot of people are still wondering, oh, can I purchase it? Yes, you can. Just go to iTunes, buy it. I do that for my artists that I really like Lloyd Banks. I always buy the iTunes. Any artists that I really, really support, Kevin Gates, J. Cole, there's certain artists where I just, right when they, Eminem, 50, whoever, when they first drop an album, the second they drop an album, I even bought Eminem's Revival, which is a horrible album. I didn't even listen to it. I just said, hey, it's Eminem, I'm buying it. Because Eminem's delivered so much great quality music. I just assumed it was a great quality album. It was ass cheeks. But still, I spent whatever, $12. But I buy for artists that I've always loved, that have always released great music for me. I always buy their iTunes copy. And I encourage all of you to do that. But yeah, Taylor Swift probably sold an insane amount of pure album sales. That's what it's looking like. So it's not just streaming. A lot of people are going to point to, oh, look at streaming stuff. No, she's on pace to beat Adele's 3.4 million copies she did first week. She's on pace to do 4 million, which is insane. I think they said Michael Jackson did that before Nielsen SoundScan started counting albums. So I'm not saying she's Michael Jackson's level of fame. She probably is. Just people won't admit it because if she goes around the world, like I used to talk to a Colombian girl that like was in love with her. You know, if they know them in Colombia, they know them everywhere else, man. I would not be surprised. But got out of track here, but JT dropped that brutal diss track. Then Cardi B issued a warning after that and said this: tonight, I'm not listening to Am I the Drama. I'm going to listen to some love songs tonight because the way I've been in Vietnam, I need to chill. And let me tell you something. I'm going to go back to Vietnam. I'm going to let bitches have their fun. Have your fun, but when I say I'm pretty and petty as fuck, hoes think they're ready. They ain't ready enough. They not ready enough. Have your fun, though. I want you to have your fun. So that's what she said on a video she posted but removed. Then Nicki Minaj issued an apology to Cardi B's kid. It's kind of an apology. It's kind of just saying, hey, this. Well, let me read it. Dear culture, truth is, I did all this for a bigger purpose, and one day you'll understand. You're a cute child, and lots of kids have cute little funny looking gums before they grow into all their features. One day you'll see this, so I have to say I apologize as a child of God and queen of my community who look to me for integrity. You're an innocent child and don't deserve any of this. One day your mother, aunt, and many more will be brought to their knees for what they've said and tried to do to my young prophet / beautiful boy. Take care of my darling. This isn't who I am. Interesting enough, Cardi B responded to that. And it's a lot more scathing than what Nicki said. She said, Dear Papa Perk, I'm sorry that your mommy haven't cut you a birthday cake for the past 3 days because she can't take my success or happiness. One day you're going to grow up, and I hope you understand when a girl says no, it means no, and you can overcome the pedophilia blood you inherited from your grandfather, father, and uncle. Damn, that's crazy cold. Please don't hate me when you grow up because your mommy rather give me more attention than she gives you. Hopefully when somebody that really cares about her puts her in rehab and get her the help she needs, she come out and read you a book. Scathing, man. Definitely ugly. I'm not for the child stuff. It's corny to me. Even in music, it's like, try to keep the kids out of this. I try to keep the kids out of this. Don't blame me. What did Drake say on Family Matters? Yeah, keep the kids out of this, man. I think that's too far. I think it gets, I don't know. To me, I just always found it corny. Nicki Minaj basically responded and said, Dear black women, I can guarantee you that hoe will never, ever get on my net and discuss another black baby again. I can guarantee you that hoe will never, ever call black women roaches and monkeys again. Someone had to do it. Then Nicki Minaj calls for boycott. She says this: We will boycott every company attached to Cardi B, just like we did with BET. Every company that enabled her disgusting remarks about children and other marginalized groups for years. You have 3 days to cut ties. That is it. That is all. Enjoy your day. We have receipts. Is Walmart and DoorDash okay with Barney B saying she'd get a transgender to rape her man, drugged men, dissing children for years, wishing death? Trump says DE-bye. I can understand where she's coming from because Cardi B did say a lot of crazy stuff early on, but hey, it kind of just, this is what I mean. It's selective hearing for certain people. It's always been like this. It's selective. And that's the problem. When I was talking about the Rick Ross and him being a cop and all this stuff, and then people saying Young Thug's a snitch and all this, and Gunna's a snitch, and it's selective on who people hate. It's very selective, man. And that's just how strong your industry ties are, how strong your relationships are. People can kind of move on from the situation. And whether you make good music or not, people can move on from a lot of situations. Chris Brown put his hands on Rihanna, made great music. People kind of moved on from it. And eventually Rihanna, forgave him, and everybody moved on from the situation. But then obviously there's other incidents of Chris Brown, people moved on from it because Chris Brown is a great entertainer, makes great music. People moved on from it. R. Kelly literally got caught on video peeing on an underage girl, but then he dropped Ignition. Everybody moved on from it. There's been a lot of incidences where a celebrity does something horrible, but people move on from it because the celebrity decides to deliver quality entertainment after. And that's really it with Cardi B. She did a lot of stuff as when she was a stripper, drugged men, did a lot of crazy stuff and advocated for doing that type of stuff. But people moved on from it because she beat the program. Music was popular. Bodak Yellow was insane. It's a diamond selling single. Yeah, I don't think you can get companies to really disassociate with her, especially, now. But if she does anything recently, then yeah, of course. But yeah, I get the boycott. I get what she's saying. But Nicki, your kind of thing in the past isn't the greatest either. So it is what it is, man. They both have skeletons in their closet. I hope this can get resolved down the line, man. Cardi B and Nicki Minaj doing music together, again, would be really great. Even though they didn't really do music with the Motorsport record. It's kind of like separated, but it'd be great, man. I think a lot of people are kind of pointing at Nicki Minaj's finger. Even Charlamagne mentioned an old clip of Lil Kim saying that Nicki Minaj is bitter. She doesn't like anybody new coming after her and taking her shine and so on and so forth. Well, what Lil Kim said at the time is kind of coming to light, man. She's beefing with a lot of female rappers, man. It just doesn't make any sense. You are the queen that paved the way. You created the pink print for females. Hold that stature. Hold that respect factor. But I get it, man. There's stuff that people say, disrespectful. Women can be very vicious towards each other, more than men. Men do it in a public way, but they also they're more strategic about it. Women are just straight up women are strategic too, don't get me wrong, but they are vicious with this shit. It gets really ugly quick. But yeah, we'll see what happens moving forward from this because I'm sure there's going to be updates going forward. Young Thug decided to appear on Aiden Ross's live stream, and he talked about his Mount Rushmore of Atlanta. So let's play the clip.
Oh, Cardi. That's what would be on the...
Oh, yeah, Cardi. Yeah.
The fourth one on the Mount Rushmore.
True. Cardi could be on.
Me, Pluto, Cardi, Andre.
Got it.
Terrible list. Mount Rushmore of Atlanta is not no Playboy Cardi. Get the fuck out of here with that, bro. Get the fuck out of here with that. Playboy Cardi hasn't even sold that many records. He's not even that. It's just these fucking kids, bro. That's all it is. These 16-year-olds that listen to the music. Shit's ass. The music sucks. The Mount Rushmore of Atlanta has to include T.I., Gucci Mane. This is hard. Jeezy. Here's the thing with Andre 3000, right? I don't want to include him on there because he did what he did with as a group. Himself, he didn't really have any solo efforts. And that's my kind of asterisk on him. I would include Future on there. And I know people are going to say, hey, so this is my Mount Rushmore. T.I., Gucci Mane, Jeezy, Future. Ludacris is very close. Who else in Atlanta, man? We had an insane run. I mean, Migos had a great run, but that kind of ended because of Takeoff dying. I can't think off the top of my head a lot of Atlanta artists, but a lot of them had short runs. I would have included Lil Baby had he kept going on his run, but he didn't. So my Mount Rushmore off the top of my head, without really looking deep into it, is T.I., Gucci Mane, Jeezy, and Future. Because Future's had a hell of a run. He's still on a run. Music's still hitting that he drops. I mean, Lil Demon was the last track that really popped off. So he still has Atlanta in a chokehold. Everybody else, Young Thug put himself on there. Young Thug's music is good, but his runs haven't been as consistent, in my opinion. Gunna can be there if Gunna continues on. Gunna could definitely build a case down the line. But T.I. sold insane records, got number one records. Jeezy, I don't know if he had a number one ever in his career, but he sold a lot of records. Gucci just had an insane work ethic and consistency. Yeah, and then Future, same thing, man. 2010, 2011. Since then, he's been he had a little run where he kind of fell off a little bit with Honest. That album didn't really hit like that, but then he got back on his shit. And I remember moving to Atlanta, man. DS2 was the biggest shit ever. Everybody was bumping that in their car, and that's a classic to me. And I don't really consider much albums classic. I'm willing to say that is, okay, classic. I'll put 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. I'm almost there to classic. I got to re-listen to the album because I think there is one skip on there, maybe 2. To me, for a classic, no skips have to be on there, but I'll see. Yeah, that's my Mount Rushmore, man. T.I., Jeezy, Gucci, and Future. I think anybody else comes close. Andre 3000, because he doesn't have a solo, I can't include him on there. But if you're including them as a group, I'd put Outkast and replace Jeezy. I'd replace Jeezy because Jeezy had a run, but it didn't last as long as Gucci's. It didn't last as long as T.I.'s. And it's not lasting as long as Future's. Jeezy's run was from 2005 till 2012, which is 7 years. Future's had a longer run than that. T.I.'s had a longer run than that. Gucci's had a longer run than that. Yeah, Outkast had an insane run. So, yeah, I would probably replace, if I had to do Outkast as a group, I'd have to replace Jeezy. But if I didn't, it would be Jeezy himself. I'm not putting Andre 3000 as a solo on the Mount Rushmore. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Doesn't count to me. But that's my take on it. Future, Young Thug got this wrong. The only person he got right on the list is Future. Everybody else, Playboi Carti does not belong on no damn Mount Rushmore. Don't ever mention that guy even remotely close to T.I., Jeezy, or any of these artists, Future, or any of these motherfuckers. But Playboi Carti is not that guy. His music is, I don't know how people fucking listen to him, but hey, it is what it is. Continuing on, let's get into the AI talk that I talked about earlier. And let's read this article. So Universal and Warner are nearing a major AI licensing deal. This is a huge, huge thing because this is going to determine the future forward. Financial Times reported that the deal could be completed within weeks. According to Financial Times, major record labels Universal Music Group and Warner Music Group are very close to closing a landmark AI licensing deal with several prominent AI music companies. The deal is Warner Music and Universal Music are negotiating with AI companies 11 Labs, Stability AI, Suno, Udio, and Clay Vision. The labels are also in talks with larger companies including Spotify and Alphabet, the parent of Google. 2 key points of the deal are licensing label-owned songs for creating AI-generated tracks and using the label's music to train large language AI models. The labels are pushed for similar payment model to streaming, where every individual stream generates revenue. One use of a song for AI would also generate revenue. Background: all 3 major labels have predicated lawsuits against AI companies such as Suno and Ubo in recent years, alleging illegal use of copyrighted material. This deal could be a significant step in the coalescence of the music industry and AI. Very, very scary. If you haven't seen the Suno 2, which is Grok's video generating machine, it's insane how scary it is. Literally, Michael Jackson looks as real. I just saw a clip on TikTok with him, Michael Jackson, in a Breaking Bad scene with Walter White. And Michael Jackson's voice sounds real. Video looks real. Scary, scary times that we are in. This could all backfire or it could be good. I think it's really, really sad to say this, but I think a lot of this is going to backfire on us, and we're going to really shoot ourselves in the foot with this stuff. One, for content creators, there's a fear that these companies will just replace content creators and create AI versions of them, and people will just support that and just say, fuck real people. There's a huge possibility of that. And companies would rather create AI models and save money than deal with content creators. But the human can create content that AI will never be able to create. They can keep coming up with all types of algorithms and shit, but I think humans still have that creativity that AI will never get. That's one of my fears, obviously. The next is his music shit. There's a lot of ways where labels can lie and say this artist had unreleased music, that dead ones at least, and they won't clarify what's AI and what's not. That's where my fear is at, is that, for example, Pop Smoke, dead, all the music that was unreleased that came out, and that's it. But they can go back and say, hey, Pop Smoke had like 10 more records he finished, and then release it and say that it's real. They did that with Michael Jackson when he died, with the Michael album that came out a year after his death. Like, I think 6 or 7 songs were a fake Michael Jackson voice that sounded like him. They found a guy that sounds exactly like Michael, that can match his vocals almost the same, and come to find out they're fake. And the label never revealed that until people ended up suing and finding out. So labels are very snaky and just dirty in general. They will lie to us and say certain songs are real and they're not AI. Now, I have no problem with AI music coming out in the future as long as it's clearly labeled AI, and especially if it has to deal with an artist, like the family approves of it or the artist who's alive approves of it. That to me is fine. But if people are pushing out shit, I mean, there's some crazy. I heard an Eminem song on TikTok that was amazing. The guy wrote it. It sounds fucking crazy. I was like, this is literally like prime Eminem, new music with prime sounding Slim Shady. It was amazing. It was beautiful, but it's not real. So to me, I just can't support that. I can't listen to that knowing that Eminem never made that. There's a special thing about the artist making that and that coming from that person's mind, and for the world to listen to it. When it's an AI and just somebody writing shit in, it doesn't hit the same for me, man. But, there is a deal that's going to come out. Like I said, reading this article, it's going to be significant and it's going to move things forward. And a lot of these companies are leaning into AI and not getting worried about anything, man. And that's what's scaring me, man. I do think we might end up in a Terminator world where these robots just take over and say, fuck it, all these humans, we don't need them. If we keep going this route and keep training AI and AI gets stronger and smarter, eventually they're going to be like, yo, there is no shutdown button. I'm going to kill you. And that's it. I know it's a dark way of looking at it, but we just got to take this with ease, man. Take it with time. Relax. Why are we such in a rush to release new updated models of video AIs every year? Just wait. Say, hey, let's drop this. Let's test this. Let's see how this works in society. Is this something good for society? Let's wait. It's not all about money, 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 money. That's our downfall as humans. We're just money, 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 money. That's it. We don't care about the effects of anything. And that's the problem. But I can go on a rant with that and all that. But yeah, just wanted to let you guys know that they're nearing an AI licensing deal. So we'll see what happens moving forward. Speaking of music, new music, Bryson Tiller drops Solace album. Taylor Swift drops, obviously, The Life of a Showgirl. Trippie Redd drops Sketchy. Lil Peep drops Hair Dye, which I'm sure is an unreleased track. Lil Got It and Lil Key dropped I'm So Sorry. Don Tripp dropped Walk 'Em Down. Giveon dropped Dancing in the Smoke. Jeezy dropped Still Snowin', the mixtape with DJ Drama. Hit Boy and Alchemist dropped Business Merger. And I think that's it for new music. Album sales. Young Thug did not debut really well. But let's go over it. K-Pop Demon Hunters soundtrack is at number 1 with 103,000 sold. Morgan Wallen, number 2, I'm the Problem with 88,000 sold. Cardi B, number 3, Am I Drama with 82,000 sold. Doja Cat, VIE, number 4, Debut with 56,000 sold. Not bad. Sabrina Carpenter, number 5 with Man's Best Friend, 55,000 sold. And Young Thug debuts at number 6 with You Scooty at 54,000 sold first week. Damn. Gunna's doing better numbers than him. Mariah Carey, Here for It All. I'm sure this is a greatest hits album. Debuted at number 7 with 51,000 sold. Olivia Dean, The Art of Lovin', debuted at number 8 with 41,000 sold. Farmony X debuted at number 9 with 38,000 sold. And Bad Bunny debuted at number 10 with 36,000 sold. SZA SOS, number 12 with 32,000 sold. YFN Lucci, Already Legend, debuted at number 14 with 28,000 sold. I got to listen to that. I didn't even know YFN Lucci dropped an album. Dropped the same time as Young Thug. NBA Youngboy, Massa, number 24 with 22,000 sold. Gunna, The Last One, number 26 with 21,000 sold. Party Next Door and Drake, Some Sexy Songs for You, number 29 with 20,000 sold. Drake, Take Care, number 30 with 20,000 sold. Going down, Kendrick Lamar, GNX, number 41 with 17,000 sold. And that's it for album sales. And that's it for today's episode of the Diverse Mentality Podcast. As always, appreciate you guys. I am finished with the DT interview, and I did wait a couple days to drop each part because I realized there's more views piling on when I wait instead of releasing them every single day. So I might try that out with the upcoming interview, which is the Shaw Money XL. This is an interview I did for Get Rich or Die Trying back in November or December of 2022. This is the first time the full interview of Shaw Money XL is released. The only parts that you saw are in the documentary. That's the only parts that have ever been released. This will be the full uncut interview, top to bottom. I don't really remember what the interview was about or how it went. I will go over the footage, and it will be out in the next coming days. So be on the lookout for that. DT interview is officially done. I dropped the final clip today. So thank you guys all for watching and supporting. More interviews coming down the line as I make my trip to Los Angeles pretty soon here. And that's it. Spring Spotify, Deezer, Podcast, YouTube, all that. Have an amazing night, day, whenever you listen to this, and peace.